The elements inside body can be categorized into two. Basically, these are all the block elements and these are all the inline elements. So they were categorized into two block and inline elements. So I'll explain you what these block and inline elements are and how they differ. The list is huge. If you look at it, the div, all these h1 h6 form main, all these are block elements, and the button, anchor, image, all these are inline elements. Now the list is huge. We are not gonna see the whole list now. We'll just see the difference between block and inline element. Now basic difference can actually be shown using div and span, these two elements. I'll show how div works. Now inside div, I'm gonna say this is the div element. You see, you get it. Okay, this is a div element. Now I'm gonna have a style attribute. Now inside style attribute, I'm gonna say border is 1px solid red. I'll explain you later what this is, the border, style, all that. But right now I want to show you the size of this element. See, any block element, so this div, any block element, when you say this is a block element or a div element, it occupies the whole horizontal space from the left to right. So this div, it actually takes a space from left to right. Now let me add another div here. I'll say this as blue. This is another div element. Okay, so div will always start from the left of its parent. Now body is this whole thing. Okay, so this div actually takes the whole space, and a div element or a block element will not let anything come next to it. So that is why you don't see the div here. So the next div will start from the left, so which is the left of its parent. So this is the parent for both the div. It starts from here. Now when I take this border out, I take this border out, you see that this is the size of the element. No, this is not the size of the element. This is only the size of this text. I mean, this div has already occupied the whole space. I'm gonna have another div element to show you that. This is third div element. Now this third div element is starting from here because this has already occupied the space till here. The border is something that I disabled. See, by default there is no border. I'm just giving this border to show you that the size of this div element. So this div element actually takes the whole horizontal space without the border or the border. So the border is just to show, so this is, in fact, if you see for the third element, right, this is the third element, right, from here to here. Only when I enable the border, you are able to see the size of it, because there is a border. Earlier there wasn't any border, right? Now you have a border. Okay, yellow isn't much visible, so we'll have a brown. So now there is a border, so you're able to visible the border around the element. The element is still here. Now you're seeing the border is around the element, and the element will always not allow any other element on its right. So the horizontal space has to be for that element alone. Now we'll have something called a span. The span is a very good example of an inline element. So span, what it does is it will just take that space. This is a span element. When you say span element, see, this is what it is. Now we'll just apply some border to see how much space it takes. So I've given a blue border to it. If you see, it has just taken what this text requires. So the span element, now you open a tag and you close a tag. So whatever text is in between these tags is what you see here. That's same for all the elements inside the body. So either it is block or inline. So now if you see, I have applied the border. It has just applied the border to this space because that is the space the span took. Span didn't took anything else. So I'm gonna have another span. So it doesn't matter. See, I'm either see. I'll show you the code. The code, if it is next to that or not, it doesn't matter. That is not how a browser sees. A browser doesn't see these div tags or any other tags. This div tags doesn't appear on the screen, right? So it is basically a code for the browser to understand. So no matter if it is here or there, that is how it will react. Now I'm going to have another span of red. This is second span element. If you see, span like border, it doesn't stop the next element to come on the right. It will just allow the next element to come right after, one after the other. So it will just do that. Okay, but we'll see something here. I'm going to have another div. Okay, div is blue color border, but you see this div starts here. Now the span obviously allows the next element to come next to it, but div, they always start from the parent. The parent of this div is what? This body. See, that is why I maintain this hierarchy. I could also write this code like this. The reason we maintain this hierarchy is to understand that this body is inside HTML, div is inside body. So div is body style here. So the parent space is here. So if you see the div, it starts from here. So it doesn't start from here. Even though the span element lets the div or any other element to come on the right, div always starts on the leftmost corner of the parent element. So this is a major difference between the block and the inline element. First being block element occupies the whole horizontal space, whereas the inline element occupies only the space that is required for the text or any other element inside it. At the same time, the span element can start anywhere. Also here, if you see, the span element doesn't start immediately after div because div doesn't allows anything on the right side. So the span has to start on the left in this case here. At the same time, span element allows element on its right side, whereas div element does not.